Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast. This is the PorscheCooled Podcast. You know that already. It's Tuesday. Tuesdays means Owner's Stories. And this is number 17 today. 17 Owner's Stories. It seems like they've just gone by in a blink of an eye. I was only doing number one. It doesn't seem like that long ago with Nick from the UK, my friend from the UK that has the 997 Carrera 4S. And now we're up to number 17. And I guess we have had a few 997s along the way. We've had quite a few 996s. We've had, what else have we had? We've had 912s. We've had 356s now. So we're getting a good mixture of owners. We're getting a good mixture of the passion, which is fantastic. And like I said, if you want to be on these owner stories, just send me a DM. Send me a DM through Instagram, on PorscheCooled Instagram. Give it a follow while you're there. You could also send me a DM through michael.bath on Instagram as well. You can also follow me there if you like. There's more watches and some cars, some Porsches on there, but mainly it's watches and personal things, but you're happy to follow. It's not a private account. I don't see the point in having private accounts on Instagram if you are on Instagram, but that's just me. Anyway, DM at PorscheCooled if you want to be on the owner's stories. Don't think that your story isn't interesting. Everyone's story is interesting. They may all sound similar. There is a common bond, but they're all a little bit different, and that's what's great about them. So today we're going to be joined by Amir, and Amir is coming from Los Angeles in the US. I'm going to connect with Zoom with him in the next 5 minutes. So I just wanted to do this intro before he comes online. Amir has two Porsches, and there's a couple of questions I want to ask Amir when he comes on because he's picked two Porsches which are similar, but then again different. And that's where I'm going to let it off. But once again, I always say this, and any of you guys who have read the title will know what he has anyway. I might make it a little bit trickier there in the title so you don't actually realize. Anyway, interested in speaking to Amir. He reached out to me on Instagram, so I think he's got a good story. Let's get him on Zoom and let's start chatting all things Porsche. Like I said, PorscheCooled Podcast. My name's Michael Bath, if you don't know already, and this is Owner Stories number 17. I always forget that, number 17. Let's get Amir on the line. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Like I said, this is Owner Stories today. And today we are, as I said before, we're going to be joined by Amir, and Amir is from Los Angeles in the US. Amir has a couple of 911s actually, so it's going to be interesting to have a chat. Amir's here with me now. Hi, Amir. How are you?
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for welcome to the podcast, and thanks for coming on Owner Stories.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Amir, I'm just going to let the listeners know. So, Amir reached out to me. He actually just told me then you didn't have an Instagram before you were listening to the podcast or before you contacted me. So he set up an Instagram. So I want you guys to go and follow him on that too when you're listening to it. And I'll just give you the address for the Instagram now. It's Aircool, which is a really cool name, AERKUHL on Instagram. So while we're talking, just go and have a look at that. Amir has got a few images of his cars on there so you can see what we're talking about. Sometimes it makes it better. So Amir, with owner stories, you know, it's all about every owner having a different story. You know what I mean? But the story always has like a common bond because we all love Porsches and we love driving them, and it's about everyone telling their story, which is always a little bit different. So I always like to start the podcast with what are your memories of Porsche? When did you first start noticing 911s or Porsches? Was it just in recent years? Was it a friend had a 911 or a Porsche, or have you owned them before?
Okay, so I guess my first memory of Porsche has to do with the early 1990s when I moved into a particular neighborhood, and by luck, one of the neighbors had a silver 930, and one of the reasons that I really liked the Porsche was because whenever you start almost any model of Porsche, the first minute or so, probably it's a bit louder than after you get warm up,
Yes,
and,
yes.
So he had a 930, he pulled out of the garage, and obviously 930 has a big whale tail on it. It was a silver color, big whale tail, and almost every time that he was leaving the garage or coming back into the garage, it was like a joy to me to see, oh, wow, this looks like a little airplane coming in or leaving the
Yeah.
neighborhood, And I remember I talked with him, a couple times, and I remember that at one point, and I'm not sure why he was thinking of selling it, but I remember very clearly that when he sold the car, he had the car next to his garage, and there was a table with the champagne in there. So,
Oh, okay.
so I think he was getting the check from the guy. They were breaking the champagne bottle and celebrating,
Right.
that event. So that kind of stuck in my mind. And of course, after that, anytime I went to the cars and coffee events, in my area, or I went to the auto show, I always wanted to go to the Porsche and see what's going on over there. And the funny part in my case was at the auto show, Porsche location was all the way to one end. So basically you had to go through some other cars in order to get to this one. What I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was always trying to find a way to see, can I start from the other end? And of course, the problem was when I started from Porsche, I didn't want to look at anything else. So
you're always trying to find it at the other end. It must be really difficult too, being in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles being such a strong car culture, and so much sort of heritage there with cars, and people owning cars and all these shows. So it's always sort of tempting you there, isn't it? It's always sort of in your face, so to speak.
Oh yeah, it's always like that, and I'm not sure if your listeners are aware or not. There are two locations in United States that Porsche opened, the two major sites. One is in Atlanta, and the other one is in Los Angeles. And there is a reason why they did that, because obviously there are so many people that they are interested at this company, Porsche. So that's why. I think
there's so many enthusiasts here in Los Angeles. So you see this 930 turbo your owner has. That's in the 90s, you said? In the 90s?
Right. That was like in 1990, yeah.
1990.
Yeah.
So what happens then? Do you then you go along and you just buy your normal sort of cars, and then you decide you want to buy a Porsche, or have you had a Porsche before the cars you're driving now?
No, I didn't. And what happened is in the early 90s, my daughter was 4 years old, and actually in 1990 my son was born. So we had to pay attention to some other priorities, I guess, in life, with the kids, and so you had to stay away from things that they look like luxury.
So the kids grew up. A few years pass, and then you haven't lost the passion for the brand. You go to car shows, you're looking for Porsches at the car shows. You're still passionate about Porsches, and then you decide you're going to buy your first 911 or your first Porsche. How did that come about?
Yeah, so what happened is somewhere in 2013. I guess by that time my son was in the college, my daughter finished the college, so they were kind of out, and this was kind of the time and the age. Basically, they said, okay, I guess maybe I have to spend some of my my income on something that is more fun, as far as cars and other things is concerned, rather than paying for the college and tuitions and So I actually started looking around for my first Porsche in 2013.
Okay.
And it was a bit toward the end of the year. I want to say somewhere around like October, November, I started looking around. And I was actually looking for a 997.2, anything that is after 2009. So basically, this is 2013. I'm looking in 2009 and newer. And I had some reasons. Obviously, I mean, in your previous podcast, people are talking about the 996 and things like that. And I really didn't want to. I didn't look at the 996 at all. I didn't even, regardless of what was the price, I didn't like it because of obviously a lot of people, they say the headlights. And one of the other reasons that I didn't like it was because of the steering wheel.
Oh, okay.
The steering wheel of a 996 is like a triangular steering wheel, and it kind of moved into the part of the 997.1, and And that was the other reason that I didn't want to look at the 997.1 because I didn't like the steering wheel. Not the headlight was okay, but the steering wheel now was off.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you didn't want. I mean, I have a 997.1, right?
Yeah.
So I have a 997.1. So it wasn't due to the IMS. You were looking at the 0.2 because you wanted something that didn't have the IMS hanging over your head. That was one of the main concerns.
Well,
why you went straight to the 0.2.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons. But the other reason is, I the way I look at it is, you're going to make payment. I mean, unless you pay the whole thing cash, but, you're going to make payments for a couple of years, and after that, you theoretically want to keep the car for a couple of more years. And I just didn't want to have something that just kind of bothered me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, assuming you have no problem with the IMS or anything else, but there's certain thing that you want to. You don't want to see it. You just
you just want to enjoy it. You don't want to have that idea in your head. And it's still always and always when you have a 0.1 or a 996, you can do obviously the IMS LN engineering thing, but the 997 like mine, you can't really do anything with it. You know what I mean? You can get it checked, but you can't really do anything with it. So I understand. I mean, it is something that is always there. Hopefully, it never happens, but it could, and it has. So that's always a concern. So I just want to go back to the year. So this is 2013, Amir, and you're looking at a 09, 10, 0.2, 997. Is that correct?
That's right. I was looking, I want to say my time range was probably between 2009 and I want to say maybe 2011. That was the time frame with my budget. You see what I'm saying? So after that, it was kind of getting closer to new car prices, and and it was getting, I guess, more expensive.
So what did you find? Tell the listeners what you found. So you found the car quite quickly. This is when you bought the first 911.
No. What happened was I started looking somewhere, as I said, around October, November. I looked around and I contacted some of the different sellers, and try to find out, something about their cars and things like that, and if they have any issues, anything like that. And one of the things I found out is, as you know, Porsche has so many different options that they put on a particular car. So you can have two almost identical looking car, but the inside or the options are different. So they are not the same. So as I went through this, I found that there are. I was looking at the. I guess I was looking at the regular Carrera or 911 and the S model. And one of the reasons that I didn't purchase the S model was because of the insurance. Because at that time my kids are in the college level, and the insurance, especially if they are on my insurance, my insurance will go up even if they never drive my car. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
They are part of my insurance. So because of that particular reason, I took the S out of my list, the S model. And then I was looking for a car that has the options of the S, but it is not the S.
Okay, which is not easy to find.
That's correct. So I talked to the various sellers and things like that, and they told me, oh no, you can have like a Corona Plus in this because that doesn't come with it and all that. And anyway, after I looked somewhere around I guess late April, early May 2014, I found a black Cabriolet at a place called CarMax, and I'm not sure if you are familiar with the CarMax.
I have heard of it. Yeah,
company that they sell car, they check it, they have all, they have all the records, whatever they have, and the background, any issues and things like that, and they also back it up, with their own, I guess, insurance if you want.
Okay. So you found this car, and then you looked at it. It had good records. It had good service records. It had good history. That's correct.
Yeah. So and it had again. I found this information from the Porsche later on. From the thing, and I found that this particular car had about close to $17,000 worth of extra options on it.
Okay.
So it came with the Sport Corona package plus. It came with, it was a PDK car. It has a hot and cold ventilation seats.
Yes.
My steering wheel is a carbon fiber with the heat in it. So there's a button, you press it and it heats up the steering wheel, So it had a lot of options, a lot of other miscellaneous things, gold emblems and, crest on the wheels and all of that, So,
yes.
So I found that this is probably something that is closer to the S without paying the insurance of the S. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to insure it.
Yeah, so you found this car and it was pretty much the perfect car, is what you were looking for. It wasn't an S, it's a standard Carrera, it's a black 997.2 Cabriolet.
That's correct.
And then how long did it take you to decide before you made the purchase? Did you purchase it pretty much straight away?
I think we went back and forth a bit, because I was very interested in this. So I would say it took probably about a day or two.
Okay, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, I contacted the place and I said, look, I'm interested in this car. I know how many miles on it. Don't let anybody else test it.
How many miles? How many miles did it have on it, Amir?
It had right around 30,000 miles at the time.
Okay, so that's very low. That's very low mileage. That's very good.
That's correct. Yeah, and as I said, with all the clean history, I was very sold on it. I guess the only thing I didn't think about it is this is a Cabriolet car. You know what I'm saying, and rather than a hardtop. But one thing that I noticed is, I have an option in Southern California. We don't have that much rain coming here.
Yes.
I have a lot of options when I leave my house. I would say probably about 70-80% my top is down. You know what I'm saying? When I leave.
Well, you're in the perfect climate for it. It's almost like being in Sydney in Australia. It's almost the perfect climate. I think probably LA is even better. I mean, LA and cabriolets or convertibles or drop tops, they sort of go one on one, don't they? They go hand in hand. So, but was the Cabriolet? So was a Cabriolet what you were actually looking for, or not? It wasn't. You were looking for a coupe, or you were happy to have either.
Okay, well, I guess when I was looking for the coupe. But when I came across this particular car, I guess the moment I saw it, I was so interested in it that I became like blinded by the love of its look.
So you found this car, you waited a couple of days, and then you decided, okay, I'm going to take it, and you purchased the car.
That's right, and the very, very funny part of this whole purchase process was I did a couple of things. One is I got all the loan papers ready, and I completely forgot that normally when we purchase our car, my wife's name is on it. So when I went through this whole paperwork, I found that no, my name is the only one on this car at this point, and the day that we were purchasing it was actually my birthday. It was not scheduled to be on that day, but it was my birthday that I bought it. And one last funny part of this thing is, sometimes underneath the carpet they have a date stamp, and it actually had my year, no, my month and my date on the stamp of this car. You know what I'm saying?
So it was meant to be. It's a lucky car. You can't sell that one.
That's right.
You can't sell that one. So you picked it up. You've got the 997. So it had a really good maintenance history. And I want to get into what you told me in the message as well. So you bought the 997. Do you go and then get it checked? Do you get a service done on it? Do you get it checked by Porsche, or it's good the way it is?
Okay, so what happened is when I purchased the car, it had about, I want to say like 5 months worth of the Porsche warranty on it at the time.
Okay.
So I had obviously had enough time to look around the engine to see if there's anything going on with it, and also. I had one minor issue at the time. I think it was an expansion tank, the coolant expansion tank that had a little leak on the side. And the funny part is I took it to the closest Porsche dealership to me, and they said, "Oh, no, don't worry about it. And we just changed the cap." But at that moment, I just wanted to somehow get replaced. So I contacted another dealership, which was about like 20 miles away from me. So, and I took it over there, and they replaced the expansion tank. So
Oh, that's good because it was under warranty.
that's right. So from 2014 till now, my car actually went to the dealership because of that expansion tank once. And I took care of whatever other maintenance that was keep coming up, on my own.
So let's just touch on that before we introduce you, before we talk about the second 911 that you have. So you've owned the car for what, 5 years or so? 5 years.
Well, it was 6 ago. Yeah, because I buy it.
6 years. And you really don't take it to Porsche for services. You don't take it to a Porsche specialist. You do all the maintenance yourself, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, up to this point. Yeah, and I'm going to hit the wood so I don't, get into bad luck.
So tell me, Amir, have you done this before on previous cars? Do you know about about servicing cars? You are like quite that way inclined? Do you know what to do?
Yes.
Or you had to teach yourself?
So I guess the answer to almost all your question is kind of yes, and this has partly to do with my background. I'm very good. I guess there are people that you give them a guitar, they play a guitar. You bring them a saxophone, and they play almost any instrument. For me, I guess my gift was the ability to troubleshoot things. You know what I'm saying? And when I say troubleshooting, I'm not talking about just cars. It could be a swimming pool filter. It could be something related to anything related, maybe, circuit breaker on the house, and things like that. So it could be any topic. And I do a little study, and then I'll just go for it.
So you're good at fixing things.
That's right.
But when you're maintaining your own car, and this is the question that people who are listening are going to be thinking, I know that when you're talking, people are going to say, okay, you've had this car for over 5 years, 6 years. It's a 997.2 Cabriolet. You're doing all the maintenance yourself. Do you think that's going to have, if you ever want to sell the car, do you think that's going to have an impact on the value of the car, or you'd never intend to sell the car?
Well, okay, so what I like to do is I like to document what I do. For example, around 40,000 miles or so, roughly, you have to change the engine belt or serpentine belt on your car. So I actually, when I did it, if you look at my Instagram, you will see that I actually pulled a big, like a foot-long bar that is in the middle of a spacer in the middle of the engine out. Because I was changing my belt, you know what I'm saying? So I would say that I'm kind of documenting this information. Okay, let's say 5 years from now, I want to sell it. Somebody says, okay, do you have anything? I said, look, I've done this, oil change, oil change on this car is nothing, okay? Is so easy that is funny, okay? So I do keep track of things, and a lot of times the people, they buy the car necessarily, without getting any type of a service information. They just, okay, I like it, it really depends on the buyer.
So you're documenting everything. So everything's there for future reference for you as well, I guess, so that you know what you've been doing, and then future reference if you do happen to sell the car. Is there anything for the 997.2? Is there anything that's come up with the car that you've had to fix, that you've struggled to fix, that you've said, well, I don't think I can do this? Has anything happened to the car which has been very, very... What's the most difficult thing you've done to maintain?
Well, I would say probably the most difficult thing... I replaced the spark plugs on this car, which in order to do that, you have to remove the mufflers, you know what I'm saying? People, they think that when these car manufacturers, they design the cars, they make it very easy to do maintenance, and the answer is no. You know what I'm saying? As I said, in order to get to a spark plug on this car, you had to remove both mufflers out. There are some very, very hard to reach areas that you have to do the work. I changed the belt on the engine on this car, and of course oil change and brake fluid change and all of that. So I would say that as long as I'm not dealing with something that has to do with the head, possibly something that get me, let's say, to the PDK, clutch and things like that.
Yes.
Those are the things that I'm going to, take it to the dealer. And
Yep. So what are you using? What are you using for reference though? You've got the Porsche parts manual and you've got other reference books or something. How are you knowing what to do though? Where is your reference for how to fix it?
So what you have to keep in mind is, in order for me to do any of these maintenances, okay, let's say hypothetically I wanted to change the spark plug on this car, okay. So it's not something that I say, okay, I'm going to do it next weekend and I'm going to jump on it and go from there. You know what I'm saying? I probably spent so much time in, Googling information. I found the manual, in the Porsche shop manual. I found all kinds of things, before I actually get to the point of doing this.
Okay.
So from my start point to the day that I'm doing it, it might be 3 months off, But what's going to happen is, as I'm getting to the day even before, let's say I'm doing this on a Saturday, for example, the night before, I probably can't sleep because in my mind, I have already disassembled all the areas that I need. So I'm at that moment, I'm very confident. So the only thing that I get into, if you are looking and say, okay, what kind of problem am I going to get into? Well, the problem I might get into is if I get into a bolt that is in a very bad spot, and I have a very, very hard time taking it out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So this is the type of things that when you are watching videos or YouTube online, people are not showing you. They are not showing you the problems. Okay.
Yes.
So that is the type of things that cause the problem, probably more than anything else.
So you do, so you're very analytical. You do your research. You make sure you have all the right tools you need. You've got Porsche reference material. You've got things on YouTube, and I think it's great. You're doing all the own maintenance on your 997. It's obviously saving you a lot of money, but it's also bringing you closer to the car, right? Because you get to know the car so much better when you're actually working on the car.
So I guess what you were asking me a little bit earlier about other, cars. Yes, I had BMWs. I work on the BMWs. This actually started back in around 2011, 2012, when I took my car to the shop to do my brakes. And I found out, a month or two later that I had warped rotors, and because of that, I said, I took it back and the guy wanted to charge me the second time. I said, wait a minute, hold on, let's see what is involved in here. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of, I went through 2 BMWs, I went, changing coolants. And by the way, as I said, I do a lot of studies. So I know that you have to maybe program something. You have to, it's not just the mechanical part. You also have to deal with the program. You have to reset something. You have to follow certain procedures, and things like that.
So you have you've bought the tools for that. You've bought the reading tool that you can read the fault codes and change fault codes and things like that. You actually have that tool?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you're well prepared. You have everything you need. So you're very prepared.
That's correct. So yeah,
and you have enough space.
I guess I'm fortunate that I have a big driveway and I have a big garage. So all I have to tell my wife is, okay, well, I'm going to be working here. Is it okay if the car is in the middle of the garage for this week? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. For a week, it doesn't take you that long.
No, but as we get a little bit later on to my second car, you understand why I say a week.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so let's get on to that. Let's introduce the listeners to what happened next. So you've got the 997.2 Cabriolet. You obviously really enjoy it. You're doing all the repairs on it. Then what happens? What happens that makes you want to get another 911? So tell the listeners what the process was and what happened after that.
Well, every time you look at the Porsche, it seems like there are two big areas that is separated by the 1998 or 1999, depending on how you look at it. You have the air-cooled one and you have the water-cooled one. And again, even if you look at the water cooler one, you will see that yes, every year you go through a particular generation, something get added. But if you go and sit in my car and you go and sit in the, let's say, 2017 car, and you will see that they're very close, they're very similar to each other. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so that's why I was more interested in now going back into the air-cooled era. You know what I'm saying? Because I am actually, in a way, challenging myself mechanically, to say, okay, well, I know how to do this. I'm very comfortable. I'm not scared to do it because I spend a lot of time, and as a matter of fact, I mean, all things around me right now, I have books and folders, and so you can see this is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, everything's documented. Everything, all the reference.
Something sitting here to get.
Okay, so you have the water cooled, you have the 997.2, great car, and then you think, okay, I want to get into an air cooled 911. Is that how it works? And then you start searching for an air-cooled 911?
That's right, yeah. I looked around on in that area as well for a while, obviously, for the past couple of years, and what I did is I kind of went around. I'm part of the Porsche Club of America, Los Angeles Club, for the past, 6 years or something, and I talked to other people that they have the air-cooled cars, and at the shows, I again, Cars and Coffee or the event that we go, I kind of went to different car owners, and asked them about, what's your experience? What kind of problem do you have here? And, I try to educate as much as I can, but at the same time, I try to ask questions that normally people are not asking about that, because this is more about mechanical maintenance, things that you need to do, things you need to watch out, yes.
So did you have an idea then of what generation of air-cooled you wanted? So you're going around to Cars and Coffee, Porsche Meets, Porsche Club of America events, and you're trying to pick people's brains who have some mechanical knowledge, I guess, about servicing or looking after air-cooled 911s. Do you decide then, is that what made your decision on what generation to buy in the air-cooled?
I guess in a way, yes. There was one particular person, and I want to give him credit. His name is Gary, and he had a black 993, and I think his was a 96, if I remember correctly. And it seems like he loved to drive it. And I remember about maybe 2 years ago. Well, I guess I forgot about the COVID. 3 years ago. We had 1 year of this now. He was driving that car, and one time I remember I saw him, and he was driving a 2008 Turbo. He sold it. And with the PDK and things like that. And almost every other time that I saw him around, I asked him, so what do you think about this car? In compared to that. And almost every time he told me that he missed the old 993. You know what I'm saying?
He missed the 993, yeah.
He missed it, So,
yeah.
So I guess I got more drawn, the look of the 993 with the, with its back end, the front looks very like a happy face, It looks like a newer generation car, look like a newer car, but, still it's part of the old air-cooled technology.
Absolutely. So tell the listeners what you bought. Tell the listeners what air-cooled you bought, Amir, and how you found it. Where did you find it?
So I bought this almost a year ago. It was November of 2019, and this particular car was at a Ford dealer. I guess somebody wanted to buy a Ford whatever, and then sold this car. And so I saw that online. I saw some pictures. Actually, online it said it was a stick car, not the automatic Tektronix. So I said, okay, I'll go and take a look at it. And when I got there, I said, oh, okay, this is not a stick; it's a Tektronix. Or auto.
Oh, okay.
And I said, okay, well, that's okay, because, if my kids, they need to drive this thing, it's okay, they can drive it. And by the way, there are some manual 911s that I guess they have some other type of issue that you have to watch out. Okay.
Yes.
And that has to do with what happens if you need to change the clutch. Well, in order to change the clutch on some of them, you have to drop the engine. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? So as you get some advantage in some area, you get disadvantage on the other side. Anyway, so I saw this car. It was my first car, the 997.2. It was a black on black. This particular car was white, glacier white, on cashmere beige.
Yeah, which looks really nice, actually. It looks, on your Instagram, I can see the color. The interior works well with the white. I mean, it's nice to have the lighter colored interior.
So I have two cars that are almost opposite of each other, totally. One air-cooled, one water-cooled, white, black.
So you went to this dealer. So were you looking for an air-cooled for a while? Once I'm going to come back to the same question again, which I know other people are thinking. Did you want to get a hardtop this time? Did you want to get a coupe? Is that what you were you looking for a Cabriolet, or you just came across this one? It was the right price, the right time.
I think when I was looking for the second car, I was not necessarily looking for a Cabriolet, but because of the way it looked, because of the age, this is a 1998, car, and actually I had to take the muffler out to do the spark plug check. So I know that the muffler on that car is from November of '97. So this is like almost to the very end of the generation. Whatever best that it could happen in the air-cooled technology could be over here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I guess when I got to the fact that yes, it's a Cabriolet, at that point I didn't mind because I had a good experience with the first one. So I was not even thinking about, this is a Cabriolet, so I don't want to do this anymore.
So when you went to the dealer, though, so you enjoy Cabriolets, you've got the 997.2 Amir, and then you go to the dealer, and the dealer advertises it as being a manual car, and it's a Tiptronic car.
Yeah.
And I guess what you said is a good point. It means, other people can drive it who don't necessarily drive stick. Your children, your wife, if they don't drive stick, they can drive the car. So it's better in that way. But when you went there and you thought it was going to be manual, were you annoyed when it wasn't manual, that the dealer had advertised it as a stick?
No,
6-speed?
No. What happened is, I guess when I looked at the price and I checked the, other cars similar to that, I found that the price on this is really good. You know what I'm saying? And actually the price probably drove me more toward it than why it is not a manual instead of a Tiptronic.
So I guess the thing is, and I'm kind of like talking for you here, but I mean the color is really nice. The glacier white's nice. The tan interior, it's like a tan color, isn't it? Tan interior is really nice.
That's right.
And also because it's a 98, I guess that sort of pushed you over the line as well, because it is, all the updates have happened to the 993 by the time it gets to 98. Everything's been updated, upgraded, and it's like the last of the line.
Yes.
So what happened then? You went to the Ford dealer. It's priced pretty well, so you bought it almost straight away?
No, what happened was the salesperson was a very shrewd person, I guess.
Okay.
And the problem. Okay, so I guess what I can tell you is, let's say if I need to play cards with someone, and I know that I'm not a good card player, I won't play with you. But if I know that I'm going to win, it's better that you don't play with me, because at that point, the reason I'm doing it is because I think I'm going to win. So this person was kind of telling me some stuff that I think was not true, and so I kind of trying to read between the lines of what is happening in here. Like, for example, one of the issue that I had with this car when I went for a test drive, I noticed that my steering wheel is shaking a bit, And then when I went back, he was telling me, "Oh no, that is normal for the air cool. All their steering wheel will will shake. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Which is not true.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, which I found out later on that my front tires, even though it looked like brand new, but they were actually bad. So when I replaced my front tires, that problem went away. You know what I'm saying? But,
So how did you check? So you're mechanically minded. You've been fixing your 997 for ages. You've been doing all the maintenance. You look at the car at the dealer. How do you check it over? Do you take it for a test drive? Do you do other checks on the car, or do you get someone else to check the car? What do you do, Amir? What's the process?
Well, I mean, to be totally honest, I didn't do a PPI if that's where you're going. You know, I actually looked around the engine. I was trying to look underneath the engine as much as I can. You know, I was trying to pay attention to things that maybe normally, you know, like what happens if I make a very sharp, left turn or sharp right turn, you know, in the parking lot. Am I hear any clicking? You know, any type of issues like that. And I did know that there is an oil leak, which is near the, what do you call it? There's a gasket for the what they call the timing chain, you know,
Okay.
so I know there was a leak in there, and you know, for all the forums and everything that I read about air cooled, even the people that they actually replaced every gasket on the car, they said, well, you know, 2 years later the problem came back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
So my question is, how much oil am I going to be losing in here? I mean, when you say oil leak, what is the definition of an oil leak? You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I guess I have the answer now to that question because this is a year later and I didn't
Okay.
oil change, so I know how much oil I lost. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay. No, I think, like I was leading to the PPI, and I knew you wouldn't have got a PPI because you have the experience of checking over the car and doing the maintenance on the 997. So you would do similar checks like you said on the 993. So you managed to get a good price for the car and you purchased the car. Was the car, the one thing I didn't ask you, does the car have a good service history? Did it have a lot of owners? I mean, were the records there or not?
Yes, I got a history of this car. It had 3 previous owners, and I think the first owner took the car to the Chicago area for it looks like for about 6 months or so, because apparently there was a motor vehicle registration over there, and there was a motor vehicle registration back in California. So I know in
Okay.
the whole history of this car, this car was out of a state probably for about 6 months or so, you know. But the rest of the time it was in California. As I said, I pulled a lot of carpets around. There is no rust in this car at all. There is, no sign of rust. So everything looked good to me.
Okay, so that was 12 months ago when you purchased the car. So you bring it home, you do the deal. Did you find any surprises once you brought it home? Was there anything that you missed that has cost you more money than you thought, or was everything pretty much okay with the car?
So I guess one of my suggestions to your listeners is on this particular car is totally different from a 964 car and the other one. And the reason is, in order for Porsche to increase the power on it, they double up a lot of the stuff on it, But one of the things that I probably will stay. I have to give a warning. Basically, is when you purchase this car, you have to make sure that not only it has 2 keys, because mine came with 1 key. It has 2 fobs. Okay, and basically, in order to get the second key, I found that when I took my car to the Porsche, I said, okay, I want to get a second key for this car. When the new key came, it didn't look like the original key. It had gadgeted edge on it. So I could start the car, but I had a little problem pulling it out of the ignition.
Really?
I said, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. So I had to find other places that they had experience on making the key, and now I have my almost exact of the key. And also the fob was a nightmare for me, as far as trying to program it, because apparently when you want to program the fob key, you have to go through the sequence of hold song and dance in
Yeah.
here.
For the immobilizer, right? For the
Yeah.
immobilizer and
So I
everything.
guess for
Yeah.
entertainment, if someone wants to do a check to see how many steps you have to go through to activate the fob, it's
Yeah.
something. So I went through all of those steps. I spent hours and I took for a new fob, and I found out that there is something going on in here that um, and by the way, when I get to when I drill into a problem to get to an answer, most problem, that is the problem. I mean, I already spent too much time on it. So I took it to the dealer. They had the air-cooled specialist in there. And the guy said, yeah, you cannot program it. Basically, he had to remove the heater and basically do a hot wire, because at one step, you have, let's say, 20 seconds to do something. And then it was not happening at the time. So he had to hot wire it from underneath the steering wheel to say, okay, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? And then kind of he programmed the second fob. So I would say that if somebody wants to buy another 993 with a fob, and if a person says, okay, the fob is missing, I would deduct $1,000 from the total price for that.
Okay, that's a good tip. That's a good tip. Yeah. So apart from that, was there the car was pretty much okay when you got it home? It was okay. Yeah. What I'm more interested about is the when you first had to do some work on the air cooled, when you had to do some work on the 993, whether it be change the oil or do some general maintenance. How did that compare to the 997? Which is easier? Which generation is easier? Or are they both about the same?
I would say that the 997 is easier by far.
Okay.
Okay, so again, this is for the people that maybe are not familiar with the 993. Okay, in 993, in order to give it more power or more oomph, so to speak, they had to do a whole bunch of extra things. For example, it's a six-cylinder, it's a flat six, but in order to give it more power, they double up each cylinder with two spark plugs. So it has 12 spark plugs, okay? Right. And then in order for the oil to go, they put two filters. And in order to get to any one of these, there is a lot of things involved. I mean, it's...
So a lot of things have to come out before you can get in there to fix it.
And the funny part is that's one of the reasons when I was doing it, I told my wife, I said, okay, look, I might have to leave it here for 2 weekends. And the reason for it, so I have a reason for it. Is when a lot of people, when they want to work on their car, they say, well, okay, if I start at 9 o'clock, I want to finish by 10:30. You know what I'm saying? When I start at 9 o'clock, I don't have an end time, because because number one, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Number two, I'm learning what I'm doing. I've never done this particular thing, so I'm spending my time. If let's say I spend 8 hours to do a spark plug change on this car, if I have to do this the second time, it's not going to be 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be much shorter. You know what I'm saying? Certain things that you have to do, that no matter what you do, if somebody tells me, if I go to a shop and the person tell me, oh, you know what, I can do this in 2 hours, okay? I would probably give him a couple of hundred to see how he's doing it in 2 hours, because I know there is no way he can do that in 2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
You can do that properly in 2 hours,
right.
Yeah. So after a year, so it's been last November you bought the 993. What else have you had to do? Was there anything else major that you've had to do to the car, or it's been pretty reliable apart from that?
Well, it was pretty reliable, but okay. So let me give you a little bit funny part about my 997. I guess in United States, every 2 years, or at least in California, every 2 years you have to take your car in for a smog check. Maybe similar to MOT in England. So I on the last smog check on my car, I did some work, and I think that was around the time I did a spark plug check, maybe a month or two prior to that. I was doing the spark plug check, and I guess for the safety reason, I disconnected my battery or whatever. Again, as I'm talking to you, I learned something from it, which I'm not doing it the same way the second time. But anyway, I'm talking about at that time. So what happened is I took my car to the smog check early. As soon as I get my paper, I took it there. I said, I'm ready. And then the person said, okay, well, I cannot do the smog check because there's a not ready message in here. It means the car was not driven long enough to have all the all the settings reset properly. So why don't you go and drive it like 50 miles or something, So I went there and I did that. It didn't work. And long story short, I found a procedure that you have to start the car for X amount of minutes, drive it at between 20 to 30 miles per hour for X amount of time, and then a whole longer complicated process. And then, yes, my car passed the smog. So now that I got the second car, my smog check supposedly, if I had to do it, would be in November. So because of that, I try not to do too much things that could possibly trigger that not readiness message.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying?
I understand.
Just in case. So that's one reason I did like an oil change or whatever. That was okay. But anything else that probably had something to do with disconnecting the power or something around that line or the system, because the 993, the 98 has a computer in it. It's more, I guess before the 1994, the car, they didn't have computers or OBD one.
ECU, yeah.
That's right. 94, 95, they had the version 1, and 96 up had the version 2. So because of that, I decided not to mess around with the car.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good.
Because if I get to that, I don't want to deal with that not ready message. So I kind of pushed it back so that it passes that, and then I did the other than oil change and some other like brake fluid and some other little things here and there, I waited to the time passes.
Yeah, because you don't want to fail the smog test in California, do you? Because it shows up on the record of the car as well, doesn't it? If you fail emission. Isn't there something about that? I always see it on Bring a Trailer where people are always questioning if it failed the smog test in California or it fails the test. It shows up on the Carfax or something.
It does show, but I think if when it passes, then it already passed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't want to have any type of a bad record. So I said, I'll wait. So I have a list of what needs to happen. Let's say 15,000, 30,000, 60,000, and my assumption is the person before me didn't do it. Even if he did, my assumption is they didn't do it. So I'm going to do it, So
yep. Yeah. So you have the 997, you have the 993, the 997.2, the 993, water-cooled and air-cooled. The water-cooled, as you said, is much easier to service. So listeners know it's easier to get in there and to service it than the 993. What about the driving experience? Yeah. And I'm guessing a lot of people are interested in this. What about the driving experience? Because you've got two Cabriolets to compare to here. You've got the two generations.
By the way, just the word easier is a relative. Is that right? So one thing, let's say oil change on the scale of 1 to 10 on the 997, it's probably a 1 because I can change the oil while the car is sitting on the ground. I can do it in the supermarket parking lot if I want to. But the oil change on the 993 compared to that is probably a 10. You know what I'm saying? So it's that different. But so one thing could be easy, one thing could be very different. I mean,
Yep, I understand. Yep.
So I guess your question was as far as the experience of these two cars, you said? Yeah. So
yes.
So actually, I'm very fortunate. I'm very close to where I live. It's a very short, like 5-mile, very twisty road. When I say twisty, I'm talking about probably about 20, 30 turns to get to the end of the 5 mile at least. You know what I'm saying? So because I have these two cars in my garage, I can actually take one behind the other and go and drive on the same twisty road, both going up the hill and coming back down the hill,
Yes.
So to answer your question, the 997, I always say that you could be a mediocre driver and it might make you look good because the technology is the one that is helping you, be a better driver. On the 993, you have to be a better driver because it doesn't have that technology I guess it has more technology than, let's say, a 964 or an older generation 911. But I'm talking about between these two. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have that much technology. You're kind of on your own as a real driver compared to a car.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. So what about the transmission side of it? What about the PDK in the 997 compared to the Tiptronic? Obviously, the PDK everyone says is much better than the Tiptronic. I have had Andrew, who was on Owner's Stories, who also had a 993. Was it a 993? Yeah, 993 in the Tiptronic as well, which he bought, and he said you could still get quite a bit out of the Tiptronic transmission.
That's right. So in general, I'm not using my Tiptronic when I'm driving in the streets, or my 997, using the manual Porsche red, when I'm driving the street. But when I'm actually on the hill, that is the time that I'm using it, because I like to be in control of changing the gear when I'm going up the hill or down the hill on both cars. You know what I'm saying? So I am using the manual on both. On the 997, and I'm not sure if your car has it or not, but my 997 has three modes on it. One is the PDK, the other one is a manual. I'm talking about you are the one control, and then the other one, which is like a hybrid type mode, which is you can touch the I guess the gear, and then you say, okay, I'm going to make the changes. But if after a couple of minutes the car feels that, okay, it looks like you are not going to change anymore, I'm going to take over. You know what I'm saying? So we go back to the auto again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm not sure if your car has it or not, but that's one of the things.
My car's a manual. My car's a 6-speed manual. Okay. My 997.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess in my case, this is it. I'm not sure if the auto one they had it, but I think it's this part of the PDK version of the 997. I think.
But the years that have passed between the Tiptronic to the PDK is a better transmission.
That's right. Yeah. I think it has to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
and then the answer to your question to the other one, the 993, again, when I know that I'm going on this hill with a lot of twists on it or coming down from it, I'll switch it to the Tiptronic piece. So I'm the one controlling it. And then when I get down to the bottom of the hill, I flip it over to the auto and then let the car go the straight line.
So it's good fun. So does the 997 was the sports exhaust an option on your 997, or is it just the standard exhaust?
Okay, that's a good question. That's one of the first. I did some mod to the 997, which I didn't do to the 993. But on the 997, it didn't come with a sport exhaust, but I put a Pfister exhaust on it. So that's one of the first thing, and I also did one of the other thing. I put a Fab Speed bypass. It's an X pipe, not a bypass. It's an X pipe.
Yes.
Which takes the center muffler out, and then I have the Pfister, which is making it a little bit.
So that must sound fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah.
That'll sound really good.
Yeah. So when I'm in the parking lot, parking next to another 997 similar to mine. And I start my car, the person looks at me, what happened over here?
Yeah, especially when, it must be a great experience when you've got the top down and you can hear that. It'll sound fantastic in the Cabriolet.
That's right. And one of the nice thing about the Pfister part of it is it doesn't have any droning. So I can be on the freeway going at, let's say, 65 miles per hour, and it's not bothering me because, it just doesn't drone,
Yeah, that's what I love about the Pfister. I'm a big fan of the Pfister, and my car has it as well. And it's just a great mod to do. If you have a 997, you should just do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just a great mod to do. And like you said, the main thing is it doesn't have that droning. But when you need it to sound good, it sounds good. So Darren Pfister also does the Pfister exhaust for the 993. You haven't been tempted to put one on the 993 as well?
No, and I go back to the reason of the smoke check.
Okay, smog check. So you can't do anything.
No. I can do it. But what happens is when you do your smog check, you have 2 more years to go back to the smoke check again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
In reality, because you are changing the sound from the muffler, not the cab, the smoke should not affect. But what's going to happen is when you are trying to do the test, the person is testing hear a louder exhaust note and say, well, what happened? Maybe I have to look in here a little bit more carefully. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing I didn't want to have on my first smoke checking here.
Oh, okay. All right. So it sounds like, I mean, what can I say, Amir? You've got two 911s now. From having none, you've got two in quite a reasonably short period of time. Is there a third one coming? Is there something else you're thinking about now? And you're thinking, okay, I know how to do all the maintenance now. I know how to do air cooled. I've worked out air cooled. I've worked out water cooled. Is there another Porsche on the horizon, or is that it for now?
Well, I think that is it for right now because I can't justify a third 911 in my garage. But
so maybe you might sell one of those ones and change it to something else,
right.
possibly.
Yeah, but so let me explain something about Porsches and the what you want to buy as the first Porsche. I guess we go with that.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually.
And one thing is as the generation getting closer to the, let's say, to the nowadays, the 2020 or 2021, I think that the company is trying to do something to take as many do-it-yourself people out of the picture. So basically, they try to cover everything up, so that if you, let's say, if you want to change the air filter, as an example, on the 991, you have to remove the bumper now. You know what I'm saying? So you have to
which is crazy.
Yeah, you have to take more stuff out, kind of get you more scared to discourage you from things like that. And of course, the more time you spend on it, the more it costs to do a very simple maintenance. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yes.
How much it costs to do let's say a spark plug change, and how much is the cost of a spark plug itself? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's the labor cost, isn't it? It's the amount of labor that it costs. And like you said, if everything has to come out to get to it, then the labor cost goes up. So therefore, I guess Porsche make more money from that, and they make money from the parts. So it becomes very expensive.
That's right, yeah.
I want to ask you a question, actually, because I like to keep these podcasts to an hour. We're actually almost at an hour. I want to talk about the driving road you were talking about before, but I want to talk about a picture that I saw on an image on your Instagram. The image of the model cars. Are they your model cars?
Oh, you mean those like miniature cars? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, all the Hot Wheels and all the...
That's right, yeah. So one of the events that I went back in, I think it was 2016 or so, one of the people that came to the event had the 996. It was a 356 car,
Yes.
And then it was a black color. It was very neat and all that. And then I was at the supermarket, and I said, oh, this is like $1. So I bought this $1 car off of the Hot Wheel. And then as the time passed and I passed by, I said, oh, this looks neat, this one. So I started collecting these. And then it became an obsession. Okay. So it became an obsession. And and my man was looking around.
I want everyone, while we're talking, to go to Amir's Instagram and look at this image.
Yeah.
And look at this image, because honestly, you have got so many cars.
That's right. And by the way, I guess on that image there are 3 pictures on that. And
yes.
So you might see the first one, but I made that case. I built that thing for the first set of Hot Wheels that I had. But then after that, I went and I got the other cases with the mirror in the background and all of that. So it accumulated. Then I went to Hong Kong, and my son was over there, and he's like, why don't we buy this? What about, are you interested in it? So we kept buying stuff. So basically, to make the long story short, I mean, those are not just Hot Wheels. There are a lot of other brands in there.
Yes.
There are Kyosho in there. There are another $1 car, a lot of them. And also, some of them, they came from other places. I mean, I'm from Australia, I'm from Belgium, I'm from Portugal.
Yeah, I saw that image that you posted that you said it came from Australia.
There are many from other countries. There are about 400 cars in there, and there are a bunch that is not actually in the case yet. So first I wanted to get the larger scale, but then I found that if I get the larger scale, then I'm going to run out of room.
It's a great collection. It really is a great collection. I mean, you have so many Porsches here. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
And one thing about that is there are no SUVs in there. There are no Boxsters in there.
No.
I have anything from 906, 904s. I have a whole series of 930s, and I think on the second image, if I remember it correctly, it's about 40 different 930 cars in there that it went through 1978 all the way to current. And
it's very impressive. It's very impressive. And I have to say,
different interior, exterior, different. They all come from. Some of them there might be two green cars, for example. One was made in Thailand. The other one was made in Macau. So they are different.
I was going to say that, Amir, about the second image. You've got it actually labeled where the countries. You've got, like, I can see it when I zoom in on the image. You've got England. You've got Macau. You've got.
So the reason that you see that is because it started from England, and then the company went out of business. So they transitioned to a place that they can make the cars cheaper, obviously. So they went to Macau, and then after that they went to Thailand, and then you will see there are a couple of them from Brazil. Actually, I think I have one from Brazil in there. So that is very unique, as far as. Where it was manufactured, and they took the molding from another place and things like that. But that's a very unique.
I call that collection Porsche obsession. That's your obsession, Amir. That's the you buy one and then it turns into 10 and then it turns into 100 and then But it's great, and you've made all the cases and it looks fantastic. You've got a great collection.
Yeah, and of course, my daughter and son, they keep contributing more stuff to me. They support me. My wife support me, obviously. In this thing. So they there are some, as I said, are not on that image. That they are probably more expensive. They're in a different cabinet right now. They gave me. I have a Porsche Lego sets, with the 2,700 pieces, and
it looks like you have no more space to put any in those racks anyway. You'll have to make some more storage for them.
That's right. I'm running out of space.
So the final question, Amir, that I'd like to ask people, and you've kind of already answered it. You spoke about it briefly before. If someone's coming to Los Angeles, where should they go for a drive, in their 911 or in their sports car? Where do you recommend is the road that you enjoy the most when you're taking one of your 911s out?
Yeah. So if you like a twisty road, and that's what I like. I don't like to spend too much time on the highways. But if you like twisty roads, I would say the Mulholland Highway is probably one of the places that you have seen on TV a lot. Probably Jay Leno drive his car there. Different guests over there. We have the Angeles Crest Highway, which again, Jay Leno, Keanu Reeves, and a lot of other movie stars, they drive the motorcycles, and there are a lot of places that you can go for miles and miles, into these areas. But as I said, for me, about 2.5 miles away from where I live, I have my personal almost twisty road in here that I enjoy. Every week or every other week, I just go up and down.
That's great. It's easy. Fantastic. That's a great story. I mean, from the 90s until now, you've, apart from all the models and all those cars you just showed me that we saw on Instagram, you've got your 2 Cabriolets. You enjoy both of them. Anything else you want to share before we go, Amir? Because we're over the hour.
To add a little bit about, I guess, working on your car, okay? And I just don't want to get people wrong impression. As I said, I had the Porsches are not my first car when I worked on. I worked on other mainly European cars because and so I feel comfortable, looking at the things. So in general, when I look at something mechanical, probably in my mind, I'm taking it apart to see, okay, what happens if I take this
Yes.
bolt and this washer and whatever out? Okay, what happens over here? But I think you have to spend a lot of time studying before getting into this. And as I said, there are a lot of nice things on the YouTube, but there are a lot of stuff that they don't show you, and that is the part that things get cut off and it comes back and say, okay, I'm done with this one. And then you don't know that the person maybe dropped the wrench in the engine or he couldn't open this bolt because it was rusty or something.
Yes.
When I did my spark plug change, yes, I started with that. But then what I found out is one of my, distributor wires is bad. You know what I'm saying? So I had to order one. It was not cheap. Okay, so that took a couple of more hours to do that. I changed my distributor cap and the rotor inside. This car has two distributor cap, so it's a bit of a nightmare. So you have to watch out where the plugs are going. Take a picture, a lot of that. And one of the other things that I like to do, my suggestion, anybody want to do this, is try to do one task at a time. So if you are, let's say in my case, I was doing the spark plug change as an example, but at that very moment, my fuel filter was exposed. So I could actually work on my fuel filter at the time, but I decided not to do it because I said, if something doesn't work right, I don't want to make my troubleshooting more complicated. So I said, I'm coming back to that thing later. But on the other hand, I said, oh, look, it's a golden opportunity for me to change the shocks in my engine cabinet so it doesn't hit me in the head. So yes, I changed that, which has nothing to do with what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? And my wife is my assistant in all of this. So.
Amir, that's probably the only thing that I've done to my car is I actually changed the suspension struts for the engine bay and for the front.
Yeah.
That's about me. That's about all I've done.
Yeah, but on the 993 is very tricky. I mean, everything on this car it's a challenge. Let me put it this way. But
yes, so I guess sorry, go on.
But as you said earlier, this is to me this car. And of course, the other one is the same. But this car, because of the fact that I've done all of this, to me, it's like a baby. You took care of the baby. Yes, the baby poops, but it smells, but you took care of it. Now you are closer to this car. You like the car more because I took the car and I know that what I did was not wrong. And as I go through some of the stuff, I can see some of the stuff that was missing. I know that the previous tech looked at this thing and said, well, you know what? Instead of putting 5 bolts in here, 4 will work. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need to put this one because it takes me 15 minutes extra work. You see what I'm saying? It's more challenging. So
yeah, no, I think, look, because you've had experience fixing cars before, because of the way you think, the way your mind thinks, and that helps, you've made the car your own. It's not about just driving the car and enjoying the car. The car is now the 2 cars are now your own because you've worked on them and you know them inside and out, really. And you know which one is harder to work on and you know which one is easier to work on. Yeah. I always thought air cools, people might listen to this and think they can just go and do the maintenance on their air-cooled 911. I think, you have to have a certain skill set to do it. You really do.
My suggestion, I guess, is if somebody wants to buy their first Porsche, okay, and again, we're not talking about the cheapest Porsche. You find a $5,000 that you have to spend, $15,000-$20,000 or a lot of other nightmares. I'm not talking about that. I would say that probably the first Porsche, if I wanted to buy one, and it's not the brand new one, I would probably go after the 997.2 and probably the 2012 model, because that is the last generation of that car before getting to the one that everything is hidden, before you get out of the naturally aspirated car and get into this thing that is turbo. Yeah, it's nicer, you can tweak it more, but that means you might have possibly some other problems that you don't have it on this one,
which is what makes the 997 so appealing.
Yeah, and as far as anything else is concerned, I would also suggest that, okay, when you get your first Porsche, you want to think about 2 things. One is you want to have money for any possible I guess cost for repair. So let's say if your car is 30,000, your budget should be 35,000 or 40,000, not 25,000 that you got a 30,000 car and you deal with a problem.
Yeah, true.
And the other one for the air-cooled piece is a little bit worse actually, because there are a lot of nice-looking car from outside, but the material of what the engine is made and what are the other components. Air-cooled cars were handmade cars. You know what I'm saying? People made it. So we are not perfect. I mean,
Yes.
It's a nice car to have, but you have to watch out for this. You shouldn't underestimate it, basically.
You should always have a little bit, you should always keep some money aside. You should also have your budget. The budget is just not what you pay for the car. The budget is what you're going to need to put into the car.
Yeah, but
perfect.
Yeah.
Great story, Amir.
I just wanted to thank you for inviting me to your podcast, listening to my story of cars. I really enjoyed your podcast in the past. Porsche is a very a strong community. With all the people, especially like people like you that supporting this company, and the enthusiast and all the other people that all the other nice people. That's one of the things they say, that it's not just the car, the people. That
it's the people. You're right. It's the people, and that's what's great. That's what I've said it before. This is what I really enjoy about doing the owner stories is talking to people like you, Amir. With a great story. The passion, and it's just. It's just great. And especially during the times that we're going through, it's even better. You know what I mean? It's even better. But I think everyone that listens today is going to be really, they're going to enjoy your story, because you've got an air-cooled, you've got a water-cooled, you love both of them, you enjoy driving them. I mean, you've got great roads nearby, and you do all the maintenance on them, which I think is fantastic. And I think, really, hats off to you for that, because I mean, it's not an easy task, and it sounds like the air-cooled's a bit of a tricky one to work on.
Yeah.
So I think that's fantastic. But I really, really appreciate you coming on the podcast today, Amir, and sharing your story. It's been great.
Thank you very much. I also wanted to thank my wife, my daughter, my son for supporting, what I really enjoy, and also, buying a lot of accessories for me. They know that my son is right now, keep pushing Fister stage 3 for my 993,
Oh, really? Stage 3,
yeah,
not stage 2, stage 3.
You want to do a stage 3, but, for me, he's pushing, I mean, it's very nice that they support me, and they enjoy what I like, and they buy me all kind of miniature cars and things like
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I want everyone to go to Amir's Instagram. It's I'll put the link in the description of this podcast, but it's Aircool, AERKUHL. I forgot. There was one thing I forgot to say, Amir, is that I really like your number plates.
That's right.
You've got 2 great number plates.
So,
I'm a fan of.
My son is an actuary person. So for my first car, the 997 V2, he came out with that name, because I told him I want to have something related to Porsche that not everybody understand, other people understand, the enthusiasts understand, And then the second car, my daughter came with that name out, and I said, okay, I really want to have something related to the air-cooled name in this. So that's how the two words came along, the air-cooled. And when I took my car, to the dealer to get my key fob, the guy said, "Oh, how long you have this car?" And I said, "Well, I have it for like 5 months or something." And he was shocked that nobody else got those numbers.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. It's a great air-cool as a number plate. It's a great number plate.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And the 997 one is good too. I'm a fan of number plates, and I thumbs up for those. They're very good.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoy your show.
Thank you so much, Amir. So that's it for the PorscheCooled podcast today. That was owner stories. Amir coming in from Los Angeles in the US. 98 993 Cabriolet. I can't speak. It's late at night. Cabriolet and Glacier White. And then the 2010 997.2 Cabriolet in black. So check out his Instagram. Like I said, the link's in the description of this podcast. Give him a follow, and check out those the car collection he's got too, with all the Hot Wheels and all the Porsche models. They're very, very, very cool. All right. Thank you so much, Amir.
Thank you.
We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
That's it for the PorscheCooled Podcast. That was Owner Stories number 17. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.